difference in training? That's the focus of tonight's angle. Is Donald Trump at risk of being America's first real political prisoner? I thought a lot about this over the weekend. Now, with the unconscionable financial judgment in that New York civil fraud case, the Fani Willis debacle in Georgia, the efforts to knock Trump off state ballots, and of course, let's not forget Jack Smith's January 6th criminal prosecution, what else are Trump supporters supposed to think? Now, there are various ways that despots cling to power. Political opposition is eliminated through censorship of opposing views, intimidation of free thinkers through harassment, and also show trials, of course, and imprisonment of the opposition. That's all part of it. And then there's always the threats to family members and financial ruin. Well, Donald Trump is facing all of that. Now, how do we know this is all political? Well, aside from New York's totally novel application of fraud statutes or Fulton County's spurious claims that Trump is running some kind of RICO enterprise, there's this obvious point. Had Trump just quietly retired from politics, none of us would have heard about Letitia or Fannie or Jack. Russia and its Biden-era ally China, well, they're pros, aren't they, at destroying dissent before it gets too powerful. They're brutally vicious and efficient. China subjugates and tortures Uyghur Muslims. Russia crushes the pro-freedom protesters, imprisons Navalny, then announces a sudden death. Now, anyone who challenges the ruling authority now knows the same fate can happen to them. Now, by the same token, loyalists who prove themselves, to be, real followers of the movement, well, they get special privileges and accolades. And that's exactly what the leaders of the Get Trump crew are hoping.
Watching this, you could see, Fani Willis was, if standing on business, was a witness. I also saw today, frankly, was a clinic in Black womanhood.
He's a fraudulent businessman, and eventually those house of cards fall down. But Tish James was really smart.
There were many winners today when the Court of Appeals opinion was issued. Special Prosecutor Jack Smith and his brilliant legal team.
Yeah, with communist dictators, now we know what we're getting, right? We're getting tyranny. Dissent is not tolerated, period. Of course, all supposedly to protect the tranquility and security of the motherland. Bull. In North Korea, Russia, China, the rule of law is perverted and it's weaponized against inconvenient forces. Everyone knows the game. Security forces, government lawyers, judges, they're not independent. They're all political hatchet men for the Communist Party. And since 2015, when Trump announced his run for the presidency, official forces in Washington have been unleashed on him. From the deep state to the Russia hoax to the low-life DA in Manhattan. They call him pro-Putin as they scramble to put him in jail, bankrupt him, and even come after his family. And by the way, they brag about it.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
We will rise up together and we will resist this president that ultimately will bring him down. Donald Trump has got to go.
And Friday, she bragged about getting her political scalp, claiming it was going to help the little guy.
Today, the court, once again, ruled in our favor and in favor of every hard-working American who plays by the rules. Donald Trump and the other defendants were ordered to pay $463.9 million.
This is not what America is supposed to be. This is Soviet-style political persecution. Trump's original appeal came from his message that the American system, run by and for the globalists, had become rigged against our middle class. That's why he got so much publicity. That's why people flocked to him in 2015 and 2016. He focused on our trade policies, sending millions of jobs overseas. We engaged in too many endless, pointless, costly wars. We had an out-of-control, unaccountable, permanent bureaucracy. And, of course, millions of illegals were crossing the border. And America-hating radicals were taking over the schools. Of course, on all of that, he was right. But in their quest to not merely drive him from politics, but to destroy him personally, they've damaged every institution that used to have prestige and respect. Now, New York had the crown as the financial capital of the world, but today, what entrepreneur would take the risk in New York now? You get sideways with Letitia or someone like her, and you could lose everything. For no wrongdoing, by the way. Jonathan Turley put it well, saying the impact on New York business is likely to be dire. New York is already viewed as a hostile business environment, with the top end of its tax base literally heading south as taxes and crime rises. This draconian award is only going to deepen concerns over the arbitrary application of the law. Now, Governor Hochul, she knows this is going to backfire. But of course, that's a price she's willing to pay. Her political machine has told her to destroy Trump, and she's going along with the plan.
I think that this is really an extraordinarily unusual circumstance that the law-abiding and rule-following New Yorkers who are business people have nothing to worry about because they're very different than Donald Trump and his behavior.
Weak. Trump literally defrauded no one. And look, since COVID, many wealthy New Yorkers, they've left, right? Left New York, taking their business with them. This is just another reason for all of them to bolt, and they will. Now, Governor Hochul has proven that if you offend the wrong people, they will try to ruin you. It's not just the corruption in the court system. It's the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, the SEC, the FCC, the corporate press, even the military. All these institutions are supposed to exist for all of our benefits, regardless of politics. Politics should never come into play. But about half of the voting public now believes that those institutions, for the most part, are just tools of the DNC. You don't play ball or you're a disruptor, think, Elon Musk or Trump, and they will eventually make you pay big time. Now, let's be clear. Trump got 74 million votes in the last election, and those people contribute trillions every year to our GDP. So are they all Russian sympathizers? Are they all potential insurrectionists? A mega MAGA monster class? Of course not. These are decent patriots who simply want the government to work for the American people. There are none so blind than those who refuse to see. And in their rabid zeal to stop Trump, the establishment has not only sacrificed their reputations, but the credibility of key American institutions. At this point, every country in the world understands that the FBI and the CIA are nothing more than branches of Biden's re-election campaign. That's a terrible message to send to the world. By laying waste to their own institutions, the establishment's setting itself up for a major loss. Even if they finish off Trump legally, politically, financially, they're going to be shocked to discover that for many, many years to come, their position will be significantly weaker because so many voters and so many leaders in other foreign countries will know beyond any doubt that U.S. institutions have been weaponized for short-term political gain. So people like Biden, Blinken, they can huff and puff about Putin all they want, but to the rest of the world, they're going to just look like hypocrites who will do whatever it takes to destroy their own political opponents. Look, if they had their way, Trump would rot in jail for the rest of his life. We all know that. So when Biden talks about democracy or freedom or following the Constitution, that is just empty rhetoric, no more meaningful than the phrases we hear from dictators all over the world. We can only hope that the voters correct this situation and give us a government that truly respects the will of the people. Otherwise, this notion that America stands for freedom and liberty will become harder and harder to take seriously. And that's the angle.